This is Bob Spencer. I'm standing here at the old mill in North Little Rock, Arkansas. This is the town that I elected to live in when I moved here 20 years ago. It's a beautiful place to live, a lot of nice people, a lot of events going on. This is a historical place, and it was actually built for the movie Gone with the Wind. And if you ever see the opening credits to the movie, if you should choose to watch it again, you'll see it flash by in the opening credits. And I'm going to be panning a little bit around. I'll pull some close-ups here. I'm going to let you see the water wheel. It is an actual working water wheel down there. There you can see it turning its water, and it's all man-made, and the water actually doesn't go anywhere. It just recirculates, but it's a nice thing. People take a lot of pictures. I've actually been up in the windows and taken pictures of the water going straight down, so that's rather interesting. A lot of man-made stuff. There's a little bridge that folks walk across, and there's also a little man-made bridge. All this stuff's made out of cement, wood, and items like that. I'm going to pan back over here to my right, and you can see some magnificent steps down there. In my declining years, it's kind of difficult for me to go up and down those steps, so I'm a little careful about doing that because I don't want to fall into the river. There's another man-made bridge, and there's a little pond down there. It does have fish in it. They've been doing a lot of construction work, and there's tons of turtles in this thing, so it's really a neat place to go. So I wanted to show you this at the start of my little trip around town, and we're going to be going to see a submarine next. I'm standing on the Junction Bridge, and this bridge separates Little Rock from North Little Rock, and this is on the Arkansas River, and the Arkansas River is 1,469 miles long. It starts up in the Rockies, flows through Colorado, through Kansas, through Oklahoma, down into Arkansas, and eventually melts into the Mississippi River out into the Gulf of Mexico. So obviously it's a lot of commerce on this thing. There's tugboats go up and down this thing. I'm going to pan right a little bit, and the skyline you see over there is the city of Little Rock. And I go over there sometimes. There's a lot of things going on in that town, but then again, I like things on this side of the river. And a little bit of information, North Little Rock at one time in its past was known as Dogtown, and all the stray dogs on that side of the river were brought over here and dumped, hence the name Dogtown. Then it was at one time known as Argenta, and we're going to go to the Argenta Business District in a little bit. But right now, I said I would show you a submarine, and lo and behold, there it is. And you might ask the question, how did it get here? It came from the west coast, and then it came all the way down around different ways and came up the Mississippi, and they finally had to put it on a barge because the Arkansas River in some cases was not deep enough and the boat had a little bit too much draft. This is a World War II vintage submarine, and it saw service in the Far East, and it was in the bay in Tokyo Bay when they surrendered in 1945, so it's one of the original ships. It served in Korea, then was sold to Turkey. And Turkey owned it for 30 years, and then the city of North Little Rock purchased this boat and had it shipped back here. It was a big, long, drawn-out affair, but it was worth it. And a little bit to the right, and you can just see the top of the thing, is the tugboat Hoga. It was also at Pearl Harbor, and it was a survivor. It's the only surviving tugboat from that era, and it did quite a bit of a rescue mission. So I thought that'd be kind of interesting to show you that particular thing. Looking up the river, you can see another bridge. We call that the Main Street Bridge, and then a little further up is the two arches of the new Broadway Bridge. Just finished that this year, and a little bit further up, and I can just see the bottom of it, is another railroad bridges. There's a total of 5 bridges that cross the Arkansas River in this particular part of the state. The barge up there is still doing construction on the Broadway Bridge, which just opened up a few months ago. So it's a pretty interesting area, and I'm going to see if I can turn around. The sun's sort of my enemy right now, and show you the other side of the river, and you can see the interstate. And there's a lot that we're going to have a big construction project on that. The Clint Museum is on the other side. I may go over there later on, today or tomorrow, and do that scene over there. So this is what I wish to show you in this particular location. I'm going to go to the Argenta Business District. There, I think I'm recording now, and I'm standing on the Big Dam Bridge, and this separates North Little Rock from Little Rock. North Little Rock being on my left and Little Rock being on my right. And this is once again the Arkansas River, and this is a dam. A lot of commerce on this particular thing. Looking to my right, I'm going to pan over and show you part of the lock system. This is where the barges go through, and it's just like the locks in Panama. It raises and lowers, and this is the edge of the bridge that I have here. And when the weather gets testy, believe me, these waves get testy that come out of here. There's also, in the winter season, there are pelicans that come in and roost in this area, which I think is kind of cool, because I lived here a long time, and one day I'm out here walking, and I said, my goodness, is that pelicans out there? And sure enough, there are some that come through here in the winter and spring seasons. So this is a little bit interesting. This is a part of the 14-mile river trail. You can walk up one side of the river and down the other. And when I was a little more fit, I used to do 7 miles, and now I'm not fit, so I just do a couple miles. I think age has caught me a little bit. But this is a little bit about this side of the river, so I'm going to stop and go to the other side. This is the other side of the river, and it's shooting west, and way in the distance is Pinnacle Mountain, and that's one of the highest places in the Little Rock area. I have flown over there, believe it or not, in a biplane. It was rather interesting. People go climb that peak. The bridge is part of the interstate system, and you go to the left, you go to Little Rock, you go right, you can go to North Little Rock. As I pan to the left, there's a little series of ridges, and I'm going to come down a little bit because there are homes way up on top of that little mountain over there, and this is some of the places where the more wealthy live. Obviously, I'm not going to be living there. I'm going to come down, and you're going to see part of the lock system. This is the entry to the lock itself, and if I get it in here, there's a bridge up here that goes across the river trail, and you can walk all the way down the side of the river over to that particular bridge, and some other places to go over there, because there's yet another bridge over there where there's an extension to the trail. So it's really a fascinating area. You can see part of it over on there. One thing I never did tell you, that North Little Rock has a population of around 68,000 people, and there's about 200,000 on the Little Rock side, and you put everything together, so there's well over 250,000. If you've got some other communities that are close, we're about 500,000. So this is what we have on the Big Dam Bridge. I'm in downtown North Little Rock this morning, and I'm standing across from the Lehman Branch city-owned library. This used to be a post office that was built in the Reconstruction days. I'm going to pan left, and there's a yellow building up the street that I'm going to zoom on, and this at one time was a funeral home in town, and it's a nice stucco Spanish type building that is used for business offices. Pretty nice building inside also. They did have some shops in there at one time. I'm going to turn around, or pan to the right if I want to use all the proper terms, and I'm going to shoot down this side of Main Street a little bit. I'll eventually go across the street and shoot a little bit more of this particular scene. The Argenta Gallery is down there. Some friends of mine own that thing. I had a rather interesting experience with a nude model in there that I walked in rather unannounced one day, and perhaps in the quiet moments I'll tell you the story someday. A little bit further down the street is Argenta Drugs. I'm going to get closer before I take a picture. That's an old-timey drugstore that's been here forever. The guy doesn't upgrade much, but it is an interesting place to go into, and he's an Asian man who's very interesting to speak to. So that's a little bit from this side of the street. I've moved a little bit further down the street, and it's a little better shot of the Argenta drugstore. I'll see if I could get a little closer to the sign. That thing has been photographed at least a bazillion times, and it's old. I don't know what's holding it on the building anymore, but he doesn't do much to it, but it is rather interesting. A lot of people like it just because it adds a little bit of character to the scenes. If I go a little bit further down Main Street on this side, there's Skinny Jay's and then Reno's Cafe, one of my favorite places in downtown North Little Rock on Main Street. And it's a dump, but man, they got good food. If I go up in the air a little bit, you can see two tall buildings. That's actually across the river in Little Rock, and that's how close we are. Just the river separates us, and that is the Main Street Bridge. You can't quite see all of it there. I think I've hit the business time in the morning. I try and get out early enough, but I guess I missed my call today. So that's a little bit on this side of the street, and we'll see what else I can come up with. This is a rather interesting house we have in downtown North Little Rock, and it's been various things through the years I've lived into town. Right now I think they're trying to become a bed and breakfast, but what's interesting about it, all the glass and the windows is all curved because it was built in the era when they did those kind of things. I tell people that it's actually a rocket ship because of the peak on there, and someday at the end of the world the sides that are going to lift down and the rocket's going to lift off into space, and you can tell I have a vivid imagination. I'm going to look here on the corner across the street. There's a little piece of art right there. Angela Green, African-American artist, is a friend of mine, and this is some of her work, and they allowed artists to go and get on some of these utility boxes and they painted little scenes, and this has been here about 5 years, so she did a really great job of doing it, and I do have some of her art. I'm going to pan across the street, and the taller building over there is actually the old fire station, and it's now our historical society for the city of North Little Rock. This big yellow building, and I might be too far, was actually one time a funeral home, and it's a rather nice scene. You can see some more of the architecture. I did that just a few minutes ago, but I like the way the building looks. This is another view of the Broadway Bridge. I took that in one of the earlier portions of this video. It really has turned out nice. It lights up at night all sorts of different colors, as do the other 5 bridges in North Little Rock, so they create quite a light show. I'm standing on the side of our baseball stadium that we have here. The Arkansas Travelers play in this particular stadium, and they're about to finish up their year, and I'm going to go around the front and I'll get a better shot of that. This is something I really did want to get a picture of for you. This is our trolley system that we have between North Little Rock and Little Rock, and it runs throughout the day, and it's pretty neat. We had a Beatles festival here a couple of years ago, and they had all silhouettes in the windows of the Beatles, and during the summertime this is free to ride, so it's pretty cool. This is the front of Dickey Stevens Park, our baseball stadium. I'll shoot up in the sky here a little bit. A lot of traffic going by. We have the Timex clock tower up there. We have 4 clocks up there in each direction, and none of them ever tell the time quite the same, so that's an interesting part about that. This thing has a lot of different activities that go on. You can rent the thing during the year. I'll walk up to some of the Hall of Famers that have been on here and get a little bit better shot of that, so you know a little bit about what we do in North Little Rock as far as our sports activities. We also do have a Verizon Arena, and interesting enough, Bruno Mars will be here in October, and he does just a dynamite show. He's a younger musician, but he does a great job. So you got Bill Dickey, George Skeeter Dickey, Whit Stevens, and Jack Stevens, and these are the people that are very integral to this baseball stadium, from old baseball players to modern investors. Fortunately for me, I found an entrance that was open, so this is the ball field to the park. Standard ball field. These are the stands. It's a great place to come and see a baseball game. So you can see we have a lot going on here in the city of North Little Rock, and I'm really glad that I live here.